part of them still want to get back with the baby daddy because for a lot of women, it's really hard to move on from somebody that you had a child with, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot for a lot of women. So my question to you, ladies, is what was your experience with moving on from a man that you guys had children with to move on to another man that you guys currently have now? Was that hard? Was that difficult? And also, if you want to keep it honest, was there certain times in a relationship where like a part of you still want to go back with the physical baby daddy? Was it hard? Was it hard for you to move on from another guy that you had kids with to a guy to a new guy?
No,
No.
no, it wasn't. Me and my, like I said earlier, I'm Mormon. I came from a Mormon background. So when I dated my ex-husband, it was very short, like a couple months. I got pregnant out of wedlock, got married, it became abusive. I opted out. So it, I don't really consider like my first marriage to be like a proper marriage. It was like a courthouse kind of thing. Um, so there wasn't to me like I never to this day would never go back to him. You could not pay me $1 billion. So that was never an issue for me. I will say though, from the trauma of being in a relationship with my ex-husband, I feel like that kind of was more significant than being in an actual marriage with my ex, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. So for you, it was like hell no, hell to the no.
Hell no.
Yeah, no.
No, no, no.
All right. All right. But let me pass it to Alicia. Alicia, what do you think about the question? Yeah, did you ever experience that? Moving on from the biological father to
No.
Daniela? No.
No. Hell
And
no.
why?
I fell out of love. Um, the marriage was very, very abusive. And my last straw was the last um, physical abuse that he did. Was just the final straw. I mean, few times before that, I was already done. But that last one that he did was in front of my son and in front of my mother. And that for me was just like, nah, I'm not going to tolerate this. I don't want to deal with it. And I basically just said, get the fuck out. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Mm.
Um, and even to meeting Daniela, it was no. Hell no. I could
Okay.
never.
No worries. Um,
But this
yeah.
is I think this question is also equally important for the men, right? Because these are what will play on your insecurities. When you come into a relationship with a single mother as a man, these are some of the things that will sort of play in your head as a man, right? So how do you deal with it? Um, and this is part of the reason when you do the After Dark show, it's quite important to talk about, and even just a normal Wednesday podcast when I jump on. Every couple, especially men who date single mothers and are in relationship with them, you should look at how you are with your partner sexually, and you should be open in the way that you explore your sexuality together. Why? Because as much as your partner or the woman may not understand how these things sort of work behind, you know, biology, mentally, emotionally, you can understand it when you see certain behaviors. So I think earlier in our relationship, one of the things that was we had to really deal with moving forward was the way that I would step in and discipline, our son. Used to be some major pushback, you know, and when you have those major pushback, you have to acknowledge that yes, you know, mama's just trying to protect her, her child, but at the same time, there's a reason why you're both in a relationship, right? And to me, if I'm in a relationship with you, this means it's long term, and this is pretty much, we're looking at building a family together and moving on with life. So it comes to you as a man that you should be able to accept that that's going to be an issue that will arise, but also have the, I guess, the emotional intelligence to acknowledge it, but also stand firm and say, hey, You're in a relationship with me for a reason. There are certain qualities that you see in me that has attracted you to who I am as a person. These are the same quality in the sense of discipline that I'm, um, trying to apply to our children. Back off, essentially. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to hurt your child, but let's communicate in terms of how you want to parent, how I want to parent. But essentially, there are qualities that you've obviously been attracted to. That's why we're in a relationship. It's the same thing that I want to pass on to our children. So, and that's why I said in the beginning, if you're a man and you haven't really built your sense of value to the point where majority of these things don't become an issue to you, don't date single mothers, because it's more problematic to you than anything. It'll give you some insecurities that you never thought that you have. Thinking about, shit, my wife had sex and had a child with another man will keep you up at night. And I'm serious. One of the things that I'm sort of grateful for in my own experience is that it got to a point where the way that I envision a leader and how I led my own life and the life of my own family, there was no room for insecurities. And if I ever notice any sort of insecurities creeping up, I've always managed to find solutions and how I can deal with it, and dealing with them together as a couple. So those are the things that you should ask yourself. If you are in that dating pool, you've got some work cut out for you. It's worth it if that's what you want, but at the same time, don't be delusional that it's going to be easy. It's not.
Okay, no worries. And quick question to Lonnie and Alicia. Obviously, for you guys, your relationship was so toxic that you guys already made a clear decision on be ready to move on. But obviously, do you guys see that with your friends or single moms? Do you think for a lot of is it hard for them to make that transition? Who their relationship wasn't as toxic or wasn't as abusive? They had like a more regular relationship. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Obviously, they left the relationship, but still a part of them still wants to be with the biological father. Do you see that that's a common thing with a lot of your single mom friends? I saw with you, Lani. Go ahead, Lani.
Oh, to be honest, yes. Actually, no, because a lot of my friends were in abusive relationships, so a lot of them had the same experience as me. But my mom was a single mom, and she never dated after my dad passed away. And I'm 31 now, and so in the 30 years I've been alive, she's never once gone on a date or or actively pursued somebody else. So I do feel like for some girls it is hard, you know. It is hard for them. So yeah.
Yeah, what's up with all these abusive relationships? Are they all Mormon?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because you just speaking for the men, you're going to deal with some of those. Those will leak out in the early stages of your relationship. You are going to act in ways that you didn't even think will trigger certain memories in the person that you are with in a relationship. So you have to take that into consideration when you go into dating, single mothers, especially coming from an abusive relationship, right? And learn how to communicate through in a way where it's healthy, that instead of disregarding those triggers, attend to them and also dismantle them in the best way that you can. Otherwise, it's going to be terrible. You are going to blame each other in the sense of, oh, you shouldn't be triggered by, I'm not the same person. You shouldn't be triggered because I'm not the same person that you were dating. But it is. It's just, unfortunately, that's how human nature works. We don't put a face to a certain trigger. It's just behaviors.
Yeah, and at least the same thing. Your friends, like, do you? Some of them that are single moms, do you see some of them struggling to move on from their biological father?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how do those conversations go? Like, what's usually how those conversations go?
I still One friend I see almost every day, and still it's a
Okay.
regular conversation she likes to bring up a lot to talk about. Imagine if he was here to see this and that, and she'll do this. She will send photos. So both her the exes have moved on, have got families and whatnot. And she recently was her youngest one's birthday. She did like a little cute birthday party, took photos, sent it to him, and was like, and I asked her, why did you do that? She's like, oh, I want him to see what I'm doing by myself, and da this. And it was very, and not like a, here, look at what I did for our son, but in a petty way, like, fuck you, this is what I'm doing by myself. Go get fucked, this and that. And I'm just like, girl, stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way of going at it. But yeah, no, very much, yes.